Hey guys, good evening. Welcome to the LGBTQ Voice. My name is Tracy Welch and I'll be your host for tonight. So we're very fortunate to have 5 guests tonight. We're going to be talking about marches and political movement in and around our area. So we have Belle Pellerino. Belle is one of the original 76ers of Providence Pride, as well as the Emperor 16 and 24 of the Imperial Court of Rhode Island.
Yep.
We have Nicole Lopes, our local DJ extraordinaire from LaPlace, and DJ the first Pride in New Bedford. We're going to talk to her about her evolution with Prides and her community involvement. We have Joan Stratton as well, South Coast Equality, starting New Bedford Pride. And what else? A lot. Pride Cafe, a lot of things you guys have done. And we have a political movement talking about tonight, Viola Pina and Liz DiCarlo. So I want to thank you guys all for coming tonight. So we're going to kind of start it off with Belle. So Belle, Rhode Island Pride is this Saturday. And will you be at it?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, will you have a table for Rhode Island Pride or for the Imperial Court of Rhode Island?
I will have, for the last few years, we've been setting up a table for the RI 76ers.
Yeah.
Those of us that are still around and that are coming down to the festival, we usually bring photographs so that anyone who's wandering by can come in and say hello to us. It's kind of a gathering place for us because most of us can't get around quite as well anymore. But it's a way for us to teach the younger folks what it's about, why we did it, why we wanted it to happen. And they're our legacy, they're our kids, so we share with them.
Oh, that's terrific. So how many people marched at the first parade?
110.
110. And were the police present for that?
In order to get the first Pride Parade, we had to sue pretty much anybody and everybody, including the chief of police and the mayor and all kinds of stuff. And when the federal court put down that we were going to have the parade, the chief of police said, although the statement in the Providence Journal said, "No faggots walking down my streets,"
Yep.
He was the first face I saw standing there watching us. And there was an incident at the end of the parade where somebody tried to cut through and almost hit somebody. And he grabbed the guy and pulled him over right away and gave him what for, because he was going to make sure that if it was the law, then he was going to defend it. So we had plenty of police.
Oh, that's pretty good. So 1976, let's go back. I mean, we're 2018 now. A lot has happened.
Oh, yes.
You know, so what is it, I'm sorry, back then, was it a night parade or was it a day parade?
No, it was a daytime parade. We kicked off at like 1 in the afternoon.
So when did it progress to be a night parade? And like, what was the reasoning for that? Do you know for that?
I'm not sure. I lived in upstate New York for a while, and while I was gone, when I left, they were still doing it during the daytime. That would have been 82, 83. And when I moved back at the end of the 90s, it was nighttime.
Oh, that's funny.
And I'm not sure, because it was something different, I think.
Did you see in the newspaper this week? What is it, top 10 prides in the world?
Yes.
Rhode Island's, what, number 7, number 10? Number 7.
It's in there.
It's in there. Rhode Island. Who would have thought? Boston Pride?
Boston
No,
was not there.
not there. Rhode Island. And I think because of illuminating parade. You know, the festival's all day. They have the bands and they have their beer tent. So they have the, they have a strip. We have our youth here tonight, folks. Our youth are over there. I was trying to explain to the kids that they have a strip of a street that they block off, and then they have a band stage. They have their beer tent, and then later on in the evening they have their marching parade all through Providence, and they have a viewing station in front of, what is it? PPAC, yeah, PPAC. So Bill, we talked about it earlier. Bill is one of the original 76ers from Rhode Island Pride, and on his Facebook page every day, he writes a story about one of the 76ers on his Facebook page. And I just think it's so inspirational. We were talking about earlier that with Joni and I, that a lot of our history is gone. So I believe that Andy Pollock, that was on our show, has been starting an archive right now and interviewing people to kind of keep that history up. But with each time that he posts something on his Facebook page, he posts pins from Pride's past. So you get to see the Rhode Island Pride pins from the past, and it's kind of sentimental and whatnot. I used to be on South Coast Equality, like Cape Cod Gay Pride. So when I was part of Northeast Regional Prides, we'd all exchange pins. So I have pins from back in the day of Philly Pride and certain things like that. I would probably have a dozen of them. But every day he shows something, and it's very inspirational to see on the pages. So
Billy has the distinction of having marched in every Rhode Island Pride parade from the first.
Oh, my God.
He's not missed any.
It's just amazing how many folks are still surviving, or how many people are still alive, if you want to call it that way.
Not too many. We lost 2 last year,
Yeah.
a couple the year before. And on the anniversary years, the big years, the 5, the multiples of 5, I try and collect as many as I can and get them there, because we don't know how many more there's going to be.
Wow. So if, we're going to talk about Stonewall, and that's one of the reasons that we have prides today. In 1969, Stonewall riots happened in New York. Excuse me. It was a mafia-owned bar, and the gays and lesbians, back then transsexuals, would hang out at that bar. And we're assuming, though, from what we heard in the media, that the mafia would pay the police off to let them serve the gays in the bar, and the police would come in and they would harass the patrons. And this one particular day, the police raids were routine. This one particular day, the gay people in the bar had had enough. They fought back. They ended up pushing the police into the building and barricaded them in. And then it was a riot for, one article said 3 days, another article said 6 days. And then a year to the day, Pride happened June 28, 1970, New York, LA, San Francisco, and Chicago. And then it started. So one of the questions I had is, if Stonewall riots didn't happen, when do you think the gay rights movement would have started?
It's probably would have been around the same time or shortly thereafter, because people were pretty much fed up. Even in Rhode Island, it was kind of something that happened all across the country. The only time the guys and the girls could get together is because we had to for safety. And the lights would blink and you'd swap partners for who you were dancing with. A few years back, just before Pride in Rhode Island, we were in a bar talking, another old-timer, myself, and the head of Pride, and the lights blinked, and the guy and I both flinched, and he was like, "What's that about?" And we told him the story, but when they flipped the lights, you had to swap partners.
That was a trigger.
Oh, yeah. And we looked at each other and laughed because we didn't think that was still in us.
Yeah.
But being in the bar, and that light flipped, and we both just jumped. You can only take so much of that for so long. If it hadn't been Stonewall in '68, it would have been someplace else, and it would have been, it had to have happened. We were done.
I was doing some research, and then after the Stonewall riots, 2 gay activist organizations were formed in New York, and 3 established newspapers to talk about gay rights and promote, gayness, if you want to call it that. And they think that was also instrumental, having it start in some place, and then it's kind of spread and spread and spread, and slowly but surely across the U.S. and across the world, more happen. So from the prides from back then to the prides now, I mean, what do you think? I mean, is it better? What would you like to see? What would you like to take away?
I moved back to Rhode Island in 1997, and very shortly afterwards I got a phone call asking if I was the Bel Pellegrino from the original, and I said yeah, and I was invited to be.
You're like, who's asking?
Rodney P. Davis, he was the head of the Pride, Rhode Island Pride for many years, and I was like, who are you? He invited me to come down. We were at Indian Point Park, and I got down there very early in the morning, and still the mist in Providence, and there's a walkover bridge for pedestrians from where they were setting up. And I walked up there, and I just stood there, and I hadn't been to the Rhode Island Pride since about '85. This was a good 12, 13 years later. Mm-hmm. And I stood there, and I bawled like a baby. Mm. I looked out at it and thought, that stage, we could fit everyone in that first Pride parade, including the people on the sidewalk on that stage. And I just looked at them building, putting everything together, and it just took my breath away at how much it's grown. A couple of years ago, we had the 40th anniversary, and I stood on the stage, and I brought a camera, and I said, it's a family reunion. Yeah. And I pulled the camera out of my pocket, and I took a picture. I said, because you are our family. You are all our legacy. It's grown so much, and it's taken on all different meanings, but it still has the basics. It's about love. It's that simple.
I love seeing kids at any pride event, you know? I mean, you guys paved the way. I mean, when I go to the mall now and I see kids holding hands, I'm like, shit, that was us, you know? And then I'd say to me, you know, I'm like, shit, that was you. You know, there's just so many things, you know, we have the Fairhaven Council on Aging group that comes, and every now and then Tom will be here. And Tom and Marvin and, God help me.
Connie.
Linda, Connie, they all volunteered at Pride this year. They had never, all these years. And they, you know, talking to our youth and said, like, listen, we're needed. We are really still needed. Our job is not done. You know, we talk about that on different shows. It's not done. You know, if you stop, marriage equality, you know, if somebody stopped, then it wouldn't be where it's at today. So Rhode Island Pride is actually this Saturday. They're still looking for volunteers.
Always.
You can find them on Facebook. So Rhode Island Pride has its own Facebook page. It's an illuminated night parade. It's amazing. I'm not gonna be able to go this year. My first year in a long time. I got to work, new job, new responsibilities. But Nicole has actually DJ'd on a float for the village for the past few years. I know the village is not here anymore, so we're sorry for that. But we're gonna kind of go on to Nicole. So yeah. So you were the first DJ of Pride.
I was.
So how was that, and how did that start for you?
It was exciting. It was a long time coming, but also it was like, okay, we're going to do this now. You know, but it was also humbling to me because they asked me. Yeah. Being there, playing the music, what I did find was a lot of people didn't know who I was. So to me, I was like, well, why? Mm-hmm. Why don't you know who I am? You know, I'm in the community. I've been DJing in the only gay bar for the past 18 years. Yeah. You know, so that was the part that was like troublesome for me. But then it was like, there's no time like the present. Let's meet each other.
So Connie, who's been on our show, we talk about, she says there's 9,000 gay people in New Bedford. Where are they? Well, why aren't they coming out? And why aren't they present? I'm kind of changing the words a little bit for that. But she says it every time. Where are you all? Come out. Come out. Help. Support. Go ahead, sorry.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because we talk about the events we do, and I'm like, where the hell are all our friends? Where is everybody?
They're home.
They're home. Or,
They're home.
Or, no offense, I love you, my friends to death, there's no booze.
Could be. Yes,
Yep.
You're right. You're right. But I don't know where they are. Why aren't they supporting?
Why aren't they
It costs a lot of money to do what you all do.
Yeah.
And I just feel the community needs to step up.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Why aren't you there helping?
Well, one of the things I want to promote the show, Mike from the Bedford Guide, I mean, we haven't had any abs yet. I think this is like our 20-something show right now. So we need your support. So 501c3 status for the network who hosts the show just went through. So July 1st, we'll be able to post that for you and let you guys know where you can find it. And what's the word for the $5, $10, Joni?
Oh, Patreon?
Thank you, Patreon. We're going to try and do like a $5 a month, a $10 a month, a $25 a month donation. And 50% of the proceeds that we do receive go back to the network to help fund some of the programs that we started. Pride Cafe is now doing, well, instead of being the first and third Monday of the month, it's meeting every Monday now we end up changing it to the South Coast LGBTQ Community Center. So they are part of that. We started yoga on Mondays. We started AA on Sundays. There's a lot of programs. You can find us on Facebook on the LGBTQ Voice. The network has its own page, which is, God help me, the South Coast LGBTQ Network. So I'll just kind of give you those two. You can contact myself, Tracy, with an I, at sclgbtqnetwork.org. It doesn't really change every week, but sometimes those letters get really long. So the first Pride, all of a sudden you guys said, you know, we were talking offline because I had it wrong. I said, well, gee, marriage equality for the Supreme Court said, you know what, it's okay in 2003. The first marriage was May 17, 2004. Why did we not have a party until 2008? And you guys told the story offline. One of you guys, I don't know, you guys want to talk about that?
Okay, well, Liz actually talked about the why with the delays and why, with all the approvals that had to be made.
Yeah.
But I was not involved for that spell because I was busy. And then in 2008, I got back involved with South Coast Equality because I saw an article in a newspaper, and I thought, well, I need to be a part of that. I've been out of this for a little while. So I went and had met with Heather Bonet at the time, and we said, I want to help, we want to do this, and then we had a meeting in the old Community Foundation building, which was on Union Street in those days. And we just all as a group said, why don't we have a party? We're going to do a Pride. So we did, and I remembered wrong, but Liz reminded me it was actually 6 weeks to plan. Instead of 2, I was being overly optimistic.
Yeah.
I like to take credit for things.
But it's amazing how things start and progress. Southwest Equality had Pride for a number of years. And it's AIDS Inc. that we did, was a lot of years. And after a while, certain things change and it kind of dissipates. And I had asked Joni, could I do Pride? Because I did not want a Pride. So I had it at a place for 2 years in a row. And then we said, you're part of the network. Why doesn't the network just do Pride? And that's how we started doing it. So for me, for Pride, I always joke on the show that I'm fat and happy. It is what it is. I wanted to kind of change it up a little bit. I don't just see Pride because of gay marriage. I don't see Pride for just certain things. But we had yoga in the park. We had a 1.9 wellness walk with Dr. Rocha's group in Bedford Well. Next year, I want a farmer's market on the side. We talk about things each year, what we want to kind of do differently. I still want a day event. I don't want to have to worry about, we talk about the puzzles attack. I don't want to have to worry about night around here right now. The police have been so, amazing for us. We had a great time. The police department came and did a canine demonstration, which was wicked cool. The cops went and attacked one of the other cops with the dog, and people were kind of watching around it. Excuse me, just to kind of change things up. We had over 40 vendors this year. Well, last year we had 24. So each year we grow and we borrow from the New Bedford, Imperial Court, Rhode Island. Jacqueline DeMera was our hostess this year. I think Logan was part of it this year.
He's our uncle.
A lot of the people from Imperial Court, Rhode Island step up every year and donate their time for our prides. What would you like to see New Bedford Pride? What other things would you like to see for us?
I just think we see so much of Rhode Island supporting the South Coast, the smallest state, okay? They support us so much. You ask them, they're there.
Yeah.
I just want us to step up, that's all. That's all I want to see. I'm just in charge of making sure the drag queens' music is set
Yeah.
and they're happy.
Yeah.
That's really all I do.
Yeah.
I'm just the face that waves, that's all.
Yeah.
That common face that waves, that's all I do. But just for us to step up a little bit more and say, well, we got this, but we have support from our brothers and sisters that are other places.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to do that,
Yeah.
but they do. I don't mean to sound negative. It's
Oh, no,
always a
trust me.
positive
Yeah.
thing. It's always a great thing to see the community come together, but I don't want it to be, just they keep pushing towards us and helping us, and we're not doing for ourselves.
That we would talk about again. There's 9,000 gay people in New Bedford. Where are they? Step up, come out, and help. And again, Rhode Island Pride keeps asking. They have their bear tent. They have a lot of responsibilities that they do, and I keep sharing their posts. Can you help? 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 Last year, we didn't have a table, but the network had a table the year before. We represented the youth group and the network to have a table at Pride. But there's a lot. Our Pride is, people go, oh, they just show up for a party and they leave. But people don't realize what is involved with doing the Pride.
Absolutely.
So we actually, Nicole was, I technically call her our official DJ for the network. Marriage Equality passed in 2004, and we actually had our first event 2014. Nicole was our DJ for our Decade of Marriage Equality. So we kind of, Wheezy and Bree and Little David and Josh, there's a lot of DJs out there we kind of borrow. When we have a youth event, DJs, David and Josh are a little bit younger, so we kind of use them to DJ, the youth group. Wheezy and Bree donate a lot of their time. We had meetings to talk about Pride this year. We didn't have the right equipment this year for Pride, so Sister Funk said, all right, we'll pack an extra car, and they brought all their equipment with them. It was amazing, and what a great event it was. We had comedians this year, just to kind of change it up. We had South Coast Brass Band this year, just to see people in the audience just kind of listen to the music. So every year we're going to kind of change it up, and just kind of see, what we can do to make it bigger and better, Judy, what would you like to see? You started Pride, and you're still involved with the network.
I'd like to see more to continue being a family theme, because that's important, because that's how we get more supporters. And it was a great joy to watch all the kids chasing the bubble man.
Vinny the Bubble Guy. Shout out to Vinny the Bubble Guy.
Yeah, he was great.
It was just that was cool.
And the kids were having a wonderful time, and some people that I've known that were not involved in the community were there having a fantastic time. They're buying all the rainbow stuff they could find, and they were just thrilled to be there, and it was amazing to see that kind of a positive effect. I've had clients tell me that they wanted to be there, but they couldn't, and they were really sad that they couldn't make it, but they'll be there next year.
I'm excited that we had great weather. The police chief showed up, but I didn't realize it because I walk around and do some stuff. And I saw a picture later on Facebook. I'm like, I missed the police chief. Oh my God, where was I? You know. And next year, someone's gonna get me an old person's scooter because I just can't. I can't. That's a lot of DMS walking for me. I'm sorry. And then we went to the bar. We went to La Place. I left the event at 3. Went to La Place because we were there from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. And Nicole was only supposed to play from 4 to 8 outside, and she played from 4 to 1. Outside in the deck, and nobody complained. She's like, I'll play until somebody kicks me out, or they complain. And
That's a good
nothing.
thing.
It was.
Yeah. And we've always had, good police presence. This year, I mean, again, when I say I apologize, because it was me that kept Pride going at La Place. And the same 2 security guards that we had, the one of the security company that we had from AIDS Inc., is a security that I hired for the event at the bar. One checks IDs and one kind of walks around. So, and I kind of walk around too, just kind of make sure, because, this year, we only had one little incident. Somebody kept going out to the car, and we saw that they had booze, so we kind of asked them to leave. So those things like that happen. I know, you don't even know. I keep these things quiet. Pride just runs and goes, you don't even know what problems happen. That's the idea of Pride, that we should know, right? But yeah, I'm just looking forward to every year and what's going to happen. So we're going to talk more to you guys, but let's go down for the political movement section. So Viola, may I ask you your sexual orientation?
I'm straight.
I knew that. So one of the things we talk about on the show is, even though this is the LGBTQ network, there's a lot of allies that help us out. The president of our board is a straight woman, and she has a brother, a transgender brother. So you just never know what's going to happen in our community. Go ahead.
It's about, I mean, I could be straight, but I have family who are gay. I love them. I have friends, and to me, it's the right thing to do, to support. And even though I haven't been current, and I'm getting a lesson here, I'm learning a lot.
Come back out, it's good.
Yeah, no, I will,
Yep.
but right now I'm working very hard to keep a veterans organization in my community going.
Which one is it? Let's talk about it.
The Cape Verdean Veterans Memorial Hall on Purchase Street.
Is that,
The vets,
The vets.
is it the band club?
not the band club,
Sorry.
down the
No,
street.
the vets.
Hey, shout out to the Mona. Sorry.
The IRS
Yep.
had come in and
Yep.
shut the doors, and so we got them back open again. And so, but it's been 9 years and we're still struggling. I don't know how much longer, but that's what I've been working on.
Is there an email address that people could contact you at, or a phone number you'd like to give out while we're on the show? How to get
I
a hold of
wish
you?
I had known, but just go by the vets. We're going to have our
Yep.
first annual golf tournament
Okay.
this July 1st.
Yep.
And it's in memory of a great man, Raymond Medina,
Yep.
who helped kids learn how to golf. And he started the 918 club, golf club. So we're doing that, but it's to benefit the vets, because we need a new roof, we need everything. But we're not here to talk about them today.
You know what, we can, because, it's not just our show, it's your show today as well.
That's a political
Do you guys have a
activism as well.
Facebook page?
Yes, they do. It's Cape Verdean Veterans.
There you go, so you can catch them on Facebook and send them a message.
Yes.
I just wanted people to be able to reach out if they needed to for you.
But my thing is that we all are in the struggle,
Yeah.
and we need to support each other.
Yeah.
Civil rights, everything. We all need to work together to combat the phobias, everything.
So I think in 2 weeks or so, maybe 3 weeks, we have a show on civil rights and race relationships. We have a show coming up on that.
I'll be watching.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's everybody has to come together and support. And like you said, there's 9,000 gays in the city. How about just the families
Yeah.
supporting? We need to all come out.
Well, it's one of the things, our youth group, we marched in the Cape Verdean Parade last year, and people were like, where are you?
Yes.
We got up to the end, and we turned our, what do you want to call it, banner, and the guy's reading it, and he's going, oh, you're an LGBTQ youth group, oh yeah,
Well, you came to buy the vets.
Yep, we probably did.
That's the end.
Oh, that's the end?
That's the end.
Yeah.
That's where the
One of
viewing
the things
stand
that
is.
I'm going to put a negative on our community right now, I apologize for this, is that New Bedford HIV went from number 5 to 4. We suck. We're worse at it now. And believe it or not, it's men of color having sex with other men and transgender women. So our youth are getting kicked out of their homes because of their sexuality. And we talked about it a few shows ago, that 38,000 grandparents step up because their kids can't raise their own kids. And because, I don't want to say not all old people can't change their ways, but there's so many kids out there that are homeless, that are couch surfing, they get kicked out, they have to make ends meet, so they sell their bodies for sex, and we have the cycle going over and over again. That's why we wanted to march in the Cape Verdean Parade. And this Cape Verdean Parade, July 11th? 7th? Thank you. We're signing up again for us to march. And this year I ain't marching. My friend's got a red,
You need a hover
red
round.
convertible. Thank you, Hollywood. So the 4 adult advisors, the 3 of us, I think one's on vacation and riding the car while the kids are gonna have the banners in front of us, because I just can't. Because the Cape Verdean Parade's terrific, but you start and you stop. That start and stop is a killer. You can be stopping for 10 minutes.
Because we're late.
Yeah. Cape Verdean Parade's late. That's funny.
It's one of the biggest parades.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
it is.
amazing. I actually, we used to play pool out of the band club.
Yes.
And Mona asked me, because they used to have the baskets behind the bar,
Yes.
and nobody would buy anything. We played pool out of there, and they had this big bottle of booze, and they had 52 cards. And I said, what are you doing with those? And they said, oh, you give me $5, I rip the card off, I put half your name in this one, and you get that as a receipt. I go, how long has it been there? They go, I don't know, like 6 months. And I go, are you kidding me? I said, give me the damn deck. And every time we play pool out of there, I'm selling stuff. Easter baskets, let's sell some Easter baskets, you know?
Yeah, because we knew how to raise money.
Yeah, and I was asked to be on the Cape Verdean Parade, and this little white girl, here I am, Bonnie French dancing in front of me, and I'm like, hi, Bonnie! And I was so proud to be on the Cape Verdean Parade. You just never know what life's gonna turn, and the doors are gonna open, and people that you're gonna meet.
Well, you gotta educate people.
Yeah.
And that's
Yes.
what's happening when you participate with, in the Cape Verdean Parade. People see you and they say, wow, I didn't know about this,
Yeah. Which is funny because it happens every year.
Yes.
I think with media now, I mean, it's really good. I mean, the South Coast Today, the Bedford Guide, there's so many, there's a Fairhaven Guide now, your mother's guide, your father's guide, every town has one. But it's just nice to kind of be out there and reach out to people. I did an interview for Pride on 1420 WBSM. They go, how did you get that? I go, I sent a message. I mean, how did you get it? I'm like, I just asked. I was like, just tell there's just certain things that, you can kind of do. So you guys for 40 years have been friends.
Yep.
Activists,
Yep.
community activists in Massachusetts, and you help with marriage equality.
Well, Liz called me
Yeah.
and said, we're going to be marching in Fall River, and, we'd like you to, and to me, like I said, it was the right thing to do. I went out there, and there was a lot of church people of color
Yeah.
who were coming in, and so I felt I was needed there, and so that's when I got started with
Yeah.
it. And then when they had the shooting up in the North End,
Yeah.
I felt I had to be there, to show my support. And at that time, I just left the council, I think. I had been on the council because I was in the city council for a while. But I felt like I needed to be there to be,
right.
recognized, to be a voice, to show my support.
So, let's see, I had some questions for you guys. So what are some of the outreach that you guys did for the community to get the community involved, both of you guys?
Well, the biggest thing we did was encourage people to come out. We had lots of people who really weren't public about being together with their partner, whether it was a man or a woman, and it was really critical that people come out to their family, to their friends, to their coworkers, to their neighbors, and I think it made a huge difference. In addition to people coming out, we knew from the get-go that it was critical for our allies to be an instrumental part of it, because in order to really impact the decisions that were being made, we needed to do it together. It wasn't just LGBTQ issue. It was an issue that it was marriage equality for all. And that was the civil rights issue that we felt you can't have a vote on this. You can't have a constitutional amendment that says, marriage is only between a man and a woman. And that could have happened in Massachusetts because there was a movement after the Supreme Judicial Court ruled that equal marriage was to be the law of the land in Massachusetts. Yeah. Then the right wing organized a ballot initiative, and they organized also to get our state legislators to enshrine discrimination in our state constitution. So it was a 4-year struggle. That's why the party happened in
That's what I'm trying to
2008.
figure out. So where's the quality? If the first marriage was made in 2004, why did
Right.
we wait 4 damn years to have a
Right,
party?
yeah. Well, we had to fight. And because we were fighting for something,
Yeah.
we weren't just fighting against discrimination, we were fighting for equality. And that, to me, is one of the really important principles of any movement, is you have to really have a positive message. And you have to organize people and say who you are, and say why you believe these things and why you have these principles. And I've seen that really in any group that I've worked with, be it a Jobs with Peace group that was trying to stop the wars in Central America and put the money into people's needs in this country, whether it was people for justice who were working for fairness in the criminal justice system. I mean, we were doing that back in the early 80s. I mean, you feel so old when you think about all these different movements that we were a part of, but the most important thing is to figure out how people can work together, because one of my revolutionary friends from El Salvador taught me that everyone has a role and everything has a purpose. You just have to figure out how everything can be utilized for the good.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, reaching out to people is the most critical thing, and particularly at this point in history.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're seeing the white supremacists so emboldened, by the leadership in this country that is the misleadership, quite frankly. And we people need to step up and say, this is what needs to happen in this country. We can't be anti-immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. How can we say we don't want immigrants in this country? And I could go on and on.
We actually, I don't have the dates with me right now, but we actually have a show on ministry, church and state, coming up in a few weeks as well. So we're doing some things like that as well. Any comments?
Yeah, we have quite a few.
Wow! What you got for me?
So Beth Vaselli says lots of experience on this panel of women.
That is her wife.
Right, my wife.
Liz's wife.
Linda Spinner says the Butler Man was great.
It was.
Christine Virgo says here, here, Nicole.
Hey,
Donna DeMello says glad to be a part of Pride with you, Tracy.
thank you.
And Dennis DeMello says, I can't even imagine going through what so many people went through, and very grateful to everyone who's fought, bled, screamed, and pioneered their way for all of us LGBTQ people. That's why I believe in being vocal for all of our rights, and I'll never be silent.
All right, Dennis.
That was nice.
Good
Very
job.
nice. So what was your biggest challenges or obstacles that you guys faced? Excuse me.
People's attitudes,
Yeah.
for one. I mean, when you're not educated around an issue, you come out with the most ridiculous, things that come out of your mouth, and you really have to talk to people and explain to them,
Right.
What it's all about. It's about human rights for all of us, not just for one, but for all. And that's the inclusion, keeping everybody together, because they work to keep us separated.
Yes.
We need to stay together.
That's right.
Together we work.
I think it's funny you said
I
that.
think what helps is Viola's known me longer than I've probably known myself. Liz probably the same
Yeah.
thing. But how grateful are we to have you two stand up for something that's so important? Because if people see that you two agree and believe in this, we're that much closer to where we need to be. Because they trust you. So that helps. Thank you.
For the last few Prides, me and Jeff Costa had gotten together, and he does our yoga in the morning, and he actually did our youth, we have a youth group in New Bedford called NB Agley, if you didn't know, Viola. We help ages 4 to 24 LGBTQ kids. And he used to do yoga for 2 years. We had a grant for that. But we sat down, and we were talking about inclusivity, and I said, that's my word, that's it, inclusivity. But one of the things that I find hard is, back in the day, we were all gay. You're gay, I'm gay, we're gay. But now I'm black gay, I'm Asian gay, I'm white gay, I'm this gay, and we've segregated ourselves
Yes.
in our own community. So, and again, you kind of figure out where everybody is. Well, I got my own group now, and I have my own group, but before we were, one, fighting for a cause, And now we're just, okay, well, Pride's here, I'm gonna show up. But who's gonna put on Pride? We're very fortunate, I don't know if we talked online or offline, that the elders who had never volunteered for years for Pride, I think they realized being on our show, mature, I have to keep saying mature because that's what they like instead of elders, so I apologize. They realized our kids still need help, man.
Yeah.
They're not where they need to be, and I'm like, no kidding.
Right.
We lost, that generational gap is gone. I don't know what happened between here and here, but like, thank God for, I'm gonna say it right, Marriage Equality Coalition. All the pictures and the news articles, they put on a poster board that's like, I don't know if you can see behind me, big ass thing, and they're at our youth center. Our kids weren't even born in 2004.
Right.
That some of these kids come to our center and they go, oh, what's that? I go, dude,
It's history.
dude, read it. You know, so at our youth center, the history's there.
I was amazed when I mentioned Stonewall and some kid says to me, what was that?
Yep.
I said, you don't know about Stonewall.
So Mariah, who's behind the scenes, she actually did one of her talks was on Stonewall this month, letting the kids know what's going on, just kind of keep that history. And I hope that Andy Pollack, maybe I'll give him a call. Andy, if you're watching, he's going to be doing videos of people so we don't lose history of what's been going on. He's doing an archive behind the scenes because once it's gone, it's gone.
That's so important.
You know, we did a movie series, the network and 8 organizations this year. Did a winter series, you know, we did Marsha P. Johnson movie, we've done several movies, and we want to continue doing that throughout the year where people can come in and see different LGBTQ movies, find out what's been going on in their history. Was it Two Souls? I can't remember.
Two Spirits.
Two Spirits, thank you. There's just so many movies, and I mean, the Greater Bedford Health was there, YWCA was there, Women's Center was there, the network was there, Seven Hills Behavioral Health was there. All of us together kind of said, let's help each other out. The arts.
And the New Bedford Historical Society.
That's exactly it.
You know?
I mean, we forget that.
And we have a new partner, the New Bedford Whaling Museum.
Oh, cool beans.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, you know, because the national park, I mean, think about it. We in New Bedford had a national park center that hosted the LGBTQ Winter Film Series.
Yep.
How cool is that?
Yep.
And that's what can happen when people work collaboratively.
Yes.
Instead of looking at all the differences that exist between us, we have to look at really what binds us together. And Viola put it really well. It's equal rights, it's justice, it's fairness, it's civil rights, it's basic stuff, you know? And speaking of that, there is a new campaign that I'm sure you're going to be talking about more, called the Freedom for All Massachusetts.
Yep.
And this is to ensure that transgender rights are kept in this state. There's
Yep.
going to be a ballot question
It
on
will be.
this.
So I think I've done programming now up until 8/28. I have a list of shows. I just don't have them all with me right now. But one of them is being more political, and we're going over the trans bill. The show, we don't want to be too political, left or right, because we all believe how we believe. No Trump, sorry, my opinion. But we're getting there. We're going to have politicians on the show, 2 and 4, you know, 4 and against. I want people to be able to talk about things, not, it's this table that we have here, it's a welcoming table. Even if you disagree with me, I can agree to disagree, but I want you to hear my side. I'm plain and simple. Yeah,
But
honey.
I just have to say something.
Yeah.
You asked what some of the problems were
Yeah.
that we had in reaching out to people. Well, 2 out of our 13 state legislators, both senators and, you know, representatives, only 2, Mark Montigny and Tony Cabral, were the 2 legislators who supported equal marriage from the beginning.
Right.
And Tony, in particular, said to me once after a struggle, and he said, you know, they wanted me to vote this way because of strategic stuff. He said, no, this is wrong. We don't want half a loaf of bread. We want the whole loaf. We want civil rights for everybody. This isn't fair. He said, I can't vote in favor of any strategic move that's not going to move the people's fair civil rights forward. You know, he was so clear about it from the beginning. But we convinced the Marriage Equality Coalition, all of our allies, convinced our state legislators so that there was only 2, one from Wareham, one from Fall River, that didn't support equal marriage.
So if, it was one of my questions for you guys, if marriage equality hadn't passed, hadn't been decided in 2003, and the first marriage, May 17, 2004, when do you think it would have passed, or would it have? How many years do you think it would have taken to regain?
I really do think that it was a movement whose time had come. Even though the Freedom to Marry Coalition was kind of young, and my wife and I used to joke about how, we're going to have Medicare before we have equal marriage. Well, we didn't. We got married in Canada in 2003, and then we get to North Carolina, part of our trip, honeymoon, and sure enough, all of our friends are calling us because of the Supreme Judicial Court decision. It was amazing. But it was a time, Canada was the first place, well, first it was Toronto, then it was Ontario, then it was British Columbia, then it was all of Canada, within like 2 or 3 months. It was wild. And that's really what happened on this continent.
So one of the things is, do you think that the states would have succeeded if Mass had not?
No. I think if we couldn't do it in Massachusetts, it was going to be tough. Pretty much any place else. I mean, even California had a hard time when they were trying to.
Yeah, they started Prop 8,
Right.
They started, they stopped, they started, they
But an
stopped.
important issue is to vote.
Right.
Yes.
You got
You've
it.
got to make sure everyone registers to vote.
And vote.
That's what counts. Yes, and to vote.
Yep.
Not just register, but to vote.
So we talked about, on some of our other shows, the shootings that happened down in Florida, and the kids, they're all stepping up. Well, register to vote and vote.
That's right.
I don't care how you vote, but
Yes.
figure out why you're voting and vote how you,
Yep.
how you, the right or wrong,
conscious.
not a right
It's
and wrong.
very inspiring.
Register and
Yeah.
educate yourself.
Yeah, it's
And
good.
know what you're doing
Yeah.
when you vote.
So-
Because look what we have now
Yeah.
for people who didn't.
Right.
I mean, God help us, at our youth center, we've talked over the years, why don't we go over what's coming up for the bills? Why don't we talk about the yes, the no's, and what the kids gotta decide? We haven't really got that far yet, hopefully at one point we will get there. We're still working on a 10-week educational program for the kids right now, because we just got some grant money and some other funds available for us. But we're getting there. So let's talk a little bit about the network. So the South Coast LGBT Network, we formed, Liz and Bev. Hi, Bev. Hello, I know you're watching. We used to dip, a lot of us in the community, South Coast Equality, into the Lipsky-Whitaker money. So can you talk about Lipsky-Whitaker money?
Sure.
Yeah.
John Lipsky and George Whitaker were 2 gay men together for 52 years, who entrusted Beverly and I to take care of their estate when they passed on, and it was an incredible honor and responsibility. And so we ensured that the wishes of John and George to support gay youth, as well as to prevent the spread of HIV, because they were very clear that the issue of their generation was staying alive. The issue of our generation was marriage equality, coming out and being proud of who we are. So they taught us a lot. And so when we were figuring out what to do, the Lipsky-Whitaker Fund was started at the Community Foundation of Southeastern Mass. And there's also a Lipsky-Whitaker scholarship for young people who want to go on and further their education.
She's looking at our youth.
That's right. Looking at your youth. Because it's critical that we support one another, bottom line. And these guys knew it.
Yeah.
And we said, well, what do you want us to do with your money? And they said, you'll know what to do.
Yeah.
And so there is a Lipsky-Whitaker Fund. It has supported a lot of smaller projects and also larger commitments to the LGBTQ network to really work, again, collaboratively with people who were working on HIV prevention and education, people who were doing South Coast Equality, people who were doing A Perfect Place in New Bedford-Agley, the older LGBTQ folk, myself included, meeting at the Fairhaven Senior Center, having dinners. I mean, it's important for people to work together, bottom line.
So one of the things, eventually that money's gonna run out.
Yeah.
You know, so one of the
Yeah.
things that we talked about, I think we're going into our maybe our 5th year now. Liz and Bev were like, listen, the people in the community need to get together and form something. There's only 2.5 because Pride Cafe or so, and the other, I don't know, was it 12 of us? So it was 8 or 9 aren't gay-related businesses or organizations that are part of the network. So it's not just an LGBT network, it's a community-based network program, if you want to call it that. And one of the things, we had our meeting, and I remember Liz and Bev, you guys did your bylaws already? Yeah, you did that already? Yeah, how'd the meetings go? Did you guys argue? Did you fight? I'm like, no. I'm like, listen, because I can take control, yes I can. I was on the steering committee. I'm like, okay, what do you guys think? Yes, no, yeah, all right, now what else? All right, and we were done. Next thing you know, like, here we are, we're a network, you know, and like I said, I think this is going into our 5th year right now, and our 3rd year-ish for Pride, because 2.5 years at Love Place for Pride. And each year, like I said, we just got our 501c3, we're gonna be working on getting more grants. So Eileen Dugas is stepping away from hosting. She'll be hosting one Tuesday a month. And she's doing a lot of work behind the scenes for the network. She's going to be doing a lot of grant writing, searching, because we want to be able to take a Perfect Place Youth Center that's being shared right now as the LGBTQ community center for the network and get a bigger place. We want to have clinician work. We want to have, you know, working showers, kitchens, laundry facilities. And maybe
Eventually
one day,
even housing.
yeah, housing, transitional employment, transitional housing, and take that next step and get the kids off the street. Because we talk about HIV right now. We were number 5 and 4. Number 1 is terrific, but not in HIV.
Yeah.
It's just not. So we're going this way, and we should be going, you know, woo, and it should be going away from us. But we keep saying the same thing. Our target population is men of color. And our AGLE does to age 24. All the other AGLEs in Massachusetts do 22 because of where HIV still is. And again, you know, I didn't realize one day, and it happened to be a young white man. I saw him on a corner, and we're not allowed to pick kids up, even if it's pouring buckets. If one kid, one adult, we don't pick you up. And I told another adult advisor, and they said, oh, that's the corner where they get picked up for sex. I'm like, I did not know that. I just not even thinking, you know, that's where they get picked up. Somebody sees them, hey, you know, and it happens. So our AGLE, I think June of 2012 is when we painted it. So we started it a little bit before that. We invited different people to come and help, AIDS Inc., people from the bar. They were starting, Tommy's Lounge in Pawtucket was doing a Friday night thing. So those guys, Jelly and Nancy Garcia from Providence up that way, Pawtucket, they all came down and helped. Jeff Fritz, we had so many people came down and painted our center. So it's kind of nice to see Facebook memories. You know, I'm like, oh my God, this is cute, oh my God, I said it's been this long. We're not where we need to be. You know, so having this show, sponsorships, you know, if you guys want to sponsor a show and ad, hit up leo@newbedfordguide.com. We need proceeds to keep this show running. Again, hopefully July 1st on the feeds, if you want to check out donation feeds, the network will be on it. You'll be able to donate that way, and whatever that word is, I keep saying.
Patreon.
I keep saying Patreon, I don't know why, Patreon. We're going to be working on some stuff. So Eileen will be working or helping the show on one Tuesday a month because I'm a foster parent. And I have to do foster care. I figured, why not keep giving, right? So, I mean, somebody's going to always say, you all that time? I said, if I don't go to the gym, you know, so I just want to kind of go around the table if you guys want to say like a parting thing. I know you do the Imperial Court of Rhode Island. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Well, I've been with the Imperial Court for about 15 years now, and one of the things that attracted me to it is that, A, it's the diversity, that it's straight, it's drag queens, it's drag kings, it's non-performers, it's performers, it's a little bit of everybody. And we literally pay dues so we can spend money out of our pocket to do events, to give.
Yeah. You donate to 501c3 status. Ginger Ale did an event at the bar maybe 2.5 months ago, and the proceeds went to the network.
It's our way to give back to the community, but we've done things for Providence Animal Rescue League. We've done things for AIDS Care Ocean State, just anywhere in there.
As long as you're 501c3 status.
501c3. If you need help, we will help.
Imperial Court of Rhode Island. There's one
At
in
Providence.
There's Providence. There is one in Massachusetts, but they're like so far away.
They're in
The
Boston.
South Coast is
Boston.
actually part of the Imperial
Correct.
Court of Rhode Island.
Yes.
Correct. We've encompassed Rhode Island.
There are actually 2 courts in Massachusetts. There's one in Springfield as well.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid, I can remember watching TV.
They had it back then?
Yes. I was 7 or so when they came up with it, but
Yeah, that's good.
it was good. We used to watch it, and the news always said, Rhode Island and southeastern Mass. We're the same thing. We're part of you, you're part of us. I was so pleased to be able to go and be at the first event you had for Pride.
And we were
That's
thrilled
right,
to have you.
Yeah, Belle was actually at New Bedford's first Pride as well, so 2008 for us and 76 for 76ers.
And on the video,
Yeah,
she
two
stands right out there,
76ers
she's
the other day.
dancing with her cane.
It's great.
We're one family, and that's what it needs to be. I wanted to throw one thing in.
Please.
It's so important. If people wonder why we keep doing it. Some of us who've been around a little longer than others, and they want to know why we keep doing it. And last night I had a chance to talk with a young trans guy who talked about being homeless because his father threw him out, and talked about some of the ways in which his father referred to him. And I went home and I was bonkers. I was ready. And by this weekend, I will have him hooked up with some people I know who will help him. After he was out the door, the father threw everything out the window.
I'm sure.
And
It's
from a
happening today? Oh, yeah.
second story window, including his medications, that he has not been able to get refilled because it's too soon.
Yeah.
As long as that crap keeps happening, we have to keep going.
Yeah.
Every one of us, and we have to keep bringing in more, and we have to keep doing more to make, if we can't make the parents stop doing this to the kids, then we've got to make a place for those kids to go.
That's why I'm so excited for our 501c3. Like I said, even if we have the center down below and upstairs, at least some beds, transitional housing, get these guys transitional employment, so it could be a 6-month, 9-month program. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna help you with your GED, we're gonna help with the education, we're gonna move you along, we're gonna get you with the job. You gotta do the work. You gotta put all that work in, but we're gonna get you to that step. And then maybe, even if it's a 9-month program, get you in, get you up, get you out. Okay, next please. So even if it's 5 kids, even if it's 10 kids, whatever it happens to be, could you imagine having showers and a laundry facility for people just to come in during the day and be open? We talk about a perfect place having drop-in hours. It's not really drop-in, we're only open a couple hours a week. So as we get going, we want to be open more. We started an 8 to 13 group right now. We just got 3 more referrals from Pride. We already had about 3 kids that came. 7 and 8-year-olds transitioning right now. With the parents, they come for that group. Don't drop the kid off, I don't want, just run. Ain't happening. But we started that group, so maybe we don't need the 14 to 24. Maybe we can stop the HIV now. Maybe we can show you what condoms are. Maybe that you guys can take a break at some point. But right now you can't. You want to say anything?
I just want to say, I would say thank you. You especially, we're good friends, but I appreciate you and what everybody does for the community.
Yes.
The people that are there constantly. I don't think people realize how much work it is and how much work that still needs to be done. Not everybody, I could say, had a family like I did that didn't pass judgment, or had Liz DiCarlo in every one of my teenage friends' living room telling us about ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So not everybody had that. I'm on the other side of the party,
Yeah.
so to me, I see numbers. You know, I want to see people supporting local gay business. You see Calico downtown, the pride flag is blowing all the time. Why isn't anybody in there?
Yeah.
You know, I'm at the place one Friday a month. Where are you?
Yeah.
You know, we need to support each other, and then this can just blow up immensely.
Yeah.
We have to keep being out here, because if we stop, the people that filed the legislative, the bills, the initiatives in the State House are going to win, and we can't let them, we can't lose ground that we've already worked to accomplish. We just have to keep on
That's one
plugging.
of my fears with Trump and what's going on right now. When we talk about church and state coming up, the cake, there was one thing on Facebook, and it cracked up. I should have printed it, maybe we can post it. But the person comes into the line, and the lady says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't take that, it's ham, and I don't do kosher." Well, if you go to that line, he'll take all those items, but he can't take that one because he doesn't do whatever. And if you go to aisle 3, they'll take, oh, but you can't sell that because he's that. Oh, but if you go to aisle 4, he's LGBTQ, he loves everybody. You go to aisle 4, he'll take you. And I'm like, think about it. I can be a cashier, oh, I can't, no, why not? If I can't sell you a cake from my register, can I not serve you at a grocery store? I mean, there's just certain things as we're going, I'm like, oh my God, we're going backwards.
It's
We
a whole
can't go
other
backwards.
accommodations fight.
The
Yep.
struggle,
Yep.
struggle continues.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to thank you for this, because it's needed in this community. And Belle, thank you for serving our country.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes,
Me too.
all right?
Yep.
But there's something, and Liz brought it back to me, that I read before. They came for the socialists, and I didn't stand up because I wasn't a socialist. They came for the homosexuals. I didn't stand up because I wasn't a homosexual. They came for the Jews. I didn't stand up because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. That's my life.
So on that note, I was watching Natalie Jacobson on Channel 5 News when marriage equality was being talked about. And it was a nice forum, great guests. And she was asking people, they were all talking, why I think you should, why I think you shouldn't. And a distinguished couple of color spoke on behalf of them. I don't want marriage equality. And here I am at home thinking, are you kidding me? If somebody didn't speak up to you years ago, you wouldn't be here today. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? And that's all my thought was at home going, this is not happening.
Because it's not
Somebody
just
spoke
a
up.
gay thing.
It's not,
It's
exactly.
not just a gay thing.
It is not just, I mean, because today it's gay rights. Tomorrow, what are they going to take away?
Yes.
But see, that's what the ruling powers use. They use racism to divide us.
Yep.
Yes.
To supposedly white people are better than people of color. That's crazy stuff.
Yep.
We know that.
Yep.
We need to stand up with our people of color friends.
Yep.
We need to stand up with people who are incarcerated.
Yep.
We need to stand up with people who are unjustly, thrown into the judicial system. I mean, there's so many different dimensions of what we need to do, but Viola brought it up earlier. We need to be politically involved. We need to register to vote. We need to be informed about what's going on, what the issues are, what the different dimensions are, things that we can talk with one another about. And then we need to vote for people who are going to really represent the interests of our communities.
And take us to the next step, not backwards.
Absolutely.
Most
Absolutely.
definitely. When we first started this show, and my own concept, I guess, because I was the original producer and host, and then Eileen kind of came on for a little bit. We don't want people, we want people to talk and, comment on our page and whatnot. I just don't want people to argue, tell me your point. And when we start having political people, officers, whatever you want to call everybody, God help me, politicians on the show, it'll be the same thing.
Because they're not educated.
Talk to each other, or this is my show, get out. I'll be like, I'm sorry, that's the ground rule. That's why we meet ahead of time at 6:30, this is what we're gonna talk about, this is how the show's gonna go, and there's the door, because that's, this needs to go forward, the show needs to be productive,
Yep.
and we need to, let people know what's going on in the community. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to do the show when Mike hit us up. So again, leo@thebedfordguide.com if you'd like to support the show, the network in any way. You can hit me up at Tracy, TRACI, at sclgbtqnetwork.org. And that's it. And next week's show, Eileen will be here, and it's stereotypes and gays in the public eye. See you next week. Bye, guys.